Hi everybody, Brian from Bearable Traders here. It is the weekend again, March 30th, and just coming off a shortened trading week here, Friday a holiday. So this is the weekend video. We'll take a look at what happened last week, quick review, and then we'll take a look ahead, see what we got coming up this week. So let's get down to it. Okay, so let's start out by taking a look at what happened last week here. Most notable news came out Friday. Of course, the markets were closed. But everybody was anticipating getting this PCE price index, which is the Fed's favored inflation gauge. And it did show that it came in pretty much as expected, continued to show a slow but continual decline in inflation. So all good on the Western front there. So we'll see what the reaction is in the markets on Monday, but I expect it'll be fairly positive. All the indexes, we just finished out the first quarter here, all the indexes pretty much had some great gains, SPY notching its best performance, Q1 performance since 2019. We did see technology struggle a little bit this week. Buyers seem to be a little exhausted, and I think there's some money rotation going on, as well as some people are taking money out of the high-flying tech sector and putting it into some of the stocks that might benefit if interest rates do drop, such as the small caps, which is why you see the IWM being the biggest gainer on the week. I expect that will actually continue. The small caps and mid caps will continue to show strength here. Energy and utilities, biggest gainers on the week. Energy seems to be on a bit of a tear here. Talk about that a little later. Technology, consumer discretionaries, they were the biggest losing sectors on the week. And 2-year Treasury, pretty much, and the 10-year pretty much flat, really didn't change much on the week. The dollar also was flat, given that the treasuries didn't change much. The yields didn't change much. And Bitcoin, last time I looked, was up over 70,000. What a move from last week on the weekend here. This thing is moving like radically in a number of hours. It's moving like a couple $1,000s. Be just churning along, and then all of a sudden it'll jump up or it'll drop dramatically. I just hard to understand where it's going, but certainly I finished out the week fairly strong. So that was the week in review. Okay, so before we go on here, I always like to do a quick plug for my books that are available on Amazon. You can see them there, Profiting as an Active Trader, How to Swing Trade, my oldest book, and my latest book, How to Trade Options. And you'll notice I do talk a lot about options trades in the room here, or a video as well. So if you want to check those books out, they are available for sale. So let's get down and look at some charts here. All right, let's start out by looking at some of the indexes as we normally do. You can see here, these are starting out with the treasuries, and just trading in a very narrow range here, waiting for some more data on inflation. Again, we had the PCE index coming out on Friday when the market was closed, pretty much as expected. So not much of a move one way or another here. We seem to be sort of stuck in a range on the 10-year between sort of this 4.1 and 4.4 level. So watch for a break of those two levels, one of those two levels, but I expect we're going to churn and maybe start to trend down if inflation continues to cooperate here. Nice move up on the transports. Again, good indicator of the overall economic conditions. More movement of materials, the better. Of course, the Baltimore incident, which was tragic, is probably going to put a crimp in some of the transportation and logistics stuff for a few weeks, if not longer. At least till they get the port back open. But yeah, tragic event there. Transports, again, on the weekly, it looks like we're on the verge of breaking out. The weekly volume doesn't really mean anything because we're kind of short a day there and trading. The Dow, again, just continuing to flirt with that breaking out of that high. Still looking good, and on a weekly, continuing to move up here. Again, volume lighter than expected, but Friday was a holiday. Qs, again, we're really we tried to break out here and put in a hollow-filled candle or a back-filled candle, and again, we are still in an uptrend because we are sort of trading above this 20 moving average here, but really haven't really made a lot of headway since the beginning of March. So the whole month of March has kind of been breakout and then kind of pull back and continue to turn sideways. But we did have a pretty major run when you look at this. So not surprising, we're seeing a little bit of exhaustion and maybe even some money rotation into the small caps, which we will get to in a minute. Again, still an uptrend on the SPY. Again, best quarter since 2019, first quarter. And again, looking a little bit toppy here. Not surprising. Look at this run we've had since November. It's been absolutely amazing. We do end up going through some periods of consolidation, so maybe that's really what's just happening here as the market continues to move, slowly grind higher here. Here's where maybe some of the benefit of some of this money rotation. You can see here we're kind of breaking out. We did break out on the small caps, IWM. So on a week here, we are sort of breaking out. And you can see the weekly, if you go back here, this is an area where I was watching this sort of 205 level and 210. Now we're breaking higher and maybe 220 is possible. The VIX fear gauge, you can see here we're in the basement and really no fear of any kind of a radical move down at this point. And the dollar actually pretty strong on the day, but as far as the week goes, just breaking out a little bit here. This is actually a little bit of a breakout here on the dollar, which is surprising given the strength in commodities. So oil and gold and cocoa here. There's one for you for Easter. Chocolate, price of chocolate is going through the roof just with supply problems. And so a lot of commodities are on the verge or are breaking out here. Bitcoin, here we are. We're actually, I'd said it was over 70,000. Now we're back below 70,000, just under it. But again, it's been jumping around quite a bit here on the week. So it's kind of volatile. If you got to have a strong stomach to be in Bitcoin. And that's it. Now let's look at some stuff that I'm in or I traded last week. Start out with Boeing. As you know, I'm still sticking with these 260 calls that I'm short. They're looking at their August expiry. I don't think there's any chance they're going to get filled. I'm just holding on to them. I did trade the 185 puts this week. I shorted the puts and the nice pop-up that we had here, I kind of thought bottom was in, and Boeing looks like it might want to try to head higher, and I'll be looking at that trade again next week. We'll talk about that in potentials. GDX, I couldn't resist. I had to get long last week. Gold, everybody's talking about gold. It is starting to break out here, and the miners are really kind of lagging a little bit behind the actual bullion, which is unusual. Usually miners are sort of a beta of the bullion, but I think we've got a catch-up trade going on. We are getting into an area which is prior resistance, so I'll have to watch that and maybe take some profits if we move that into that direction. I'm still long Google, or Alphabet, I guess you want to call it. It does look like it's getting ready to break out here. This sort of 152.50 area is continuing to be resistance, but I think it's continually making higher lows on every pullback. So I think it could continue to move higher. Meta, I'm long. I actually shorted some Meta calls last week, and I'm just watching this level here, making sure it doesn't break down below that level. Otherwise, I'm going to reconsider it. MIDU. It's the mid cap. It's a beta ETF, 3 times shares, and it's just been taking off, and I'm still long from way back here. So just continuing to hold. NVIDIA, I'm long. Again, this on Friday, I did a trade with NVIDIA. I shorted the 210s, shorted the 210 calls. Just thinking it wasn't going to, it kind of topped out at 913 and then started to sell off. So I shorted the 910s, and they were this Thursday expiry. So essentially 0 DTE. I've been doing this on Netflix as well, where you get to the 0 DTE the Friday and I look for topping. patterns on some of these more volatile stocks. You get a really good premium on them. I think I got over $4.50 for the 910s just for a 1-day expiry, which was really good. You set a stop and then you walk away, and hopefully it doesn't get filled. Roku, again, I just keep selling these 62 calls, or 62 puts, I should say. It seems to be moving up. And that's about it for current trades and what I've been looking at this week. So let's take a look at some stuff that I'm going to be looking at trading next week. Not necessarily going to enter trades, but if it looks attractive, I will seriously consider taking them. First one is Adobe. I have traded these puts and calls in the past couple of weeks, as you know if you've been following my videos. Again, we kind of seem to be settling in a range here, sort of 500 to 520. If I were to trade this, I'd probably look at selling calls or puts and maybe trying to bracket that, or maybe selling some 530 calls next week. Maybe some 480 puts next week. We'll see what kind of premium we get, but that's Adobe's been a good winner, and it's already reported, so I don't expect any surprise news out of them. So and BA I already mentioned as a trade did last week. I'm looking at doing this again. It does look like this sort of 185 level is pretty solid for support. The only thing I'd be concerned about here is if another hatch door blew off or something like that next week, and then Boeing would be in the tank again here. I'm still watching. I haven't taken a trade on Ethereum. I probably should have when it got back down to 16 on when was that? That was early last week. Hasn't really pulled back, but it does look like it's trying to hold this sort of 17 level now. So again, Ethereum coming up on in May or June, they're going to probably do some ETFs. I expect there'll be a run up on Ethereum into that. Lulu is another one. There's another one that's kind of one of my post earnings trades. Looks like it's kind of put in a bottom here around 380. So we'll see what kind of puts and the premium on the puts I can get for this. I don't expect a big bounce back here on Lulu. It didn't report very good earnings, or they gave some pretty poor guidance. So MU is looking toppy at 120. This could be another interesting trade for a short call. Maybe pick something a little higher depending on where the value is in the options. And again, these are selling puts and calls are quite risky. You can minimize your risk by keeping your size small. And if you really feel like you want to be conservative, you can buy, if you're selling a call, buy another call above it. And that way you've defined your risk. The difference between the price and the two calls is your risk that you are losing. So you can pretty significantly reduce your risk by buying calls or puts to cover those short sales. Again, covered in my options book if you want to check that out. And lastly, Target. I was kind of thinking about maybe a short after earnings. This was a nice earnings, nice pullback. And really didn't even fill the gap here. Didn't even get down to this 20 moving average, and now we're breaking out. So Target showing some real strength here. So again, you can either go long, sell some puts and buy some calls, sell some puts and buy a put below it. Target looks like it's showing some strength here. And energy is one that I've been reluctant to get into. And it is breaking out. So I'll be looking at XLE. Obviously, there's a number of other ways you can play this, Marathon, or any number of the energy companies here. But you can kind of see how this has been setting up. Look at this. A surge, a pullback, a surge higher, a pullback, but a higher pullback than the last one. A surge higher, and then a higher low again, and now we're breaking out. So sort of a nice pennant formation there on XLE, and it looks like we are going higher momentum and stochastics, MACD crossing, everything's telling you energy is probably going higher. So that's it for stuff I'm looking at for next week. So let's wrap things up here. April 1st, what do we got to look forward to this week? Well, here's your indexes with the various levels, support and resistance. As far as economics event goes, I think probably the biggest ones that are going to be of most interest will be this ADP employment report and the U.S. payroll, unemployment, and wage data that's coming out on Friday. Of course, everyone's continuing to watch the strength of the employment sector. So those will be the highlights kind of the week, apart from other stuff that will be being reported. Earnings calendar, really light, as you can see. Maybe a couple interesting ones. We've got Levi and BlackBerry, but like I said, fairly light week as we're sort of between earnings seasons here. So that's it, everybody. Again, enjoy the rest of your long weekend. We will be opening up 8 o'clock on Monday morning live on YouTube, BBT Community, for those wanting to go through our pre-market show with our moderators, and then of course trading the market open at 9:30 with our members. And the following week, not this coming week, but the following week, Sunday, we will be kicking off our meetup event in Vancouver. Looking forward to that, and it should be a good time. So anyway, that's it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. We'll see you hopefully Monday morning. Bye for now.